Hi, I'm Norman Liss, and the name of the program is The Way to Go. I invite you to join me each week at this time as we explore places to go and things to do. Today we're going on an expedition, and I use that word advisedly because we're going to talk about a coyote, but not an animal coyote, the Coyote Theater, which is a very interesting theater in Westchester, in Chappaqua. And we have with us today two people who are very, very strongly involved. Jim Shankman, who is the artistic director, and Judy Goodman, who is the resident director. And I welcome you both here today. And let's get into this whole subject of coyote. What does it mean? Why is the name of the theater Coyote?
Well, you know, I've been asked that question so many times I don't remember the answer. But it had to do with the fact that we started very small, we were lean and mean, and we were into doing theater that other people don't do. We were into doing theater that might be a little more wild and daring, and the non-domesticated version of the animal.
What do you mean by wild and daring? We're going to get into specifically some of the shows that you've done, of course, the show that you're currently doing. But what do you mean by daring? What makes a show daring?
Well, I'll give you an example. The first play that we did was Danny in the Deep Blue Sea by John Patrick Shanley, which was originally done off-Broadway and made John Turturro a star overnight. And Shanley described, when he wrote the play, he said, I wanted to grab people by the throat and get their attention. And we thought, that's what we want to do. We want to grab people by the throat and say, hey, Coyote Theater is here, pay attention. So we decided to do this play about two very, very beat-up and lonely people who meet one night in a bar in the Bronx and both have horrendous stories to tell, but out of their mutual need, they find love, and the transforming power of love brings them together in one crazy night.
But that's unusual for Westchester Theater, right?
Yeah.
Mostly the theater that's done in this area is easy, light, easy to take. Occasionally you see something that's heavier, or even if it is serious, it's not, what is it, the Manhattan School, as maybe some have called it.
Or it's a classic, like a Tennessee Williams.
Classic.
If people do something difficult, it usually has the stamp of classic on it.
So what is this? Is this something that you're trying to do now? Is trying to get to an audience that doesn't have this type of theater in Westchester?
Exactly.
I guess actually our contention is that the audience is here because, frankly, most of the time these audiences do come down to New York and see these plays off-Broadway and on Broadway. And it's true that maybe locally what might be here is really a lot of family fare, but we decided is to really give them a local alternative to the things that are challenging that are happening in New York. And while some people might really enjoy, hiring the babysitter for 6 to 7 hours and then driving down to New York and parking in a $20 lot, and then even before they walk in through the doors of the theater, they have already sort of laid out quite a bit, and not even mentioning the price of the tickets.
But that is a big attraction for theater here in Westchester or anywhere in the suburbs, is that you don't have to go into New York.
Right.
And New York
has home in 15 minutes.
A great deal to offer, but this type of theater is different. I've spoken to a number of people involved in theater on this program, and they all have a very, very solid audience.
Right.
But yours is different. Let's talk about your current production. Let's talk about what it is and who's doing it and so on.
The name of the play is Laughing Wild by Christopher Durang, who is a very famous off-Broadway playwright who's not had a lot of success on Broadway, probably for the very reason that his plays are kind of off the wall.
And off the wall, funny, serious, full of angst, I suppose.
People might know his works through titles like Sister Mary Ignatius Explains It All to You, Beyond Therapy, which was also made into a film.
Right, a Robert Altman film,
Marriage of Bet and Boo, and in fact he has a production coming up at Manhattan Theater Club this fall called Durang as well, and we'll be running concurrently with that production. What is he? He's just an incredibly wicked and wry, satirical playwright.
New Yorker.
And he's a quintessential New Yorker.
The other people whose works you've done, J.P. Shanley, right?
Also a New Yorker.
Also, are they all New Yorkers? Terrence McNally.
Terrence McNally is certainly an adopted New Yorker. He writes very specifically about New Yorkers. Not Alan Ayckbourn, however.
Not Alan Ayckbourn. So we've done British high comedy as well.
Yeah. I don't think Alan Ayckbourn fits into that category.
Well, probably not, except that of all the comic playwrights, when we look for a comedy, we look for something with a dark undercurrent, something that's going to tell you something about life as well as making you laugh and make you think. And Ayckbourn can be a very dark and melancholy playwright, but he makes you laugh about the things he's talking about. It's the same way with Christopher Durang. I mean, he's talking about existential angst and loneliness in Manhattan, but he makes you laugh about it. He doesn't make you cry about it.
I think that's really the key to really all the material that we put on at Coyote Theater. It really has to help sort of open up our minds about who we are, explore what our roles are with each other, etc. But we have to be able to laugh about it. We have to be able to be entertained and have a sense of humor about all of that. So any combination of viciousness and comedy that we can find, it is really what we go
David
for.
Mamet, of course.
David Mamet, perfect
as
example.
well, who's hilarious and there's.
And we're going to be doing
Wonderful
American Buffalo in the spring.
How do you feel about language, the use of language, the language
Like
in
David
most of these?
Mamet's,
David Mamet.
He's probably the worst offender. I'll tell you, I feel that the Westchester audience is a very sophisticated audience. Probably the reason there isn't a lot of homegrown theater here in Westchester, in my opinion, and my opinion keeps changing, is that people prefer to go to New York. They figure, why should I stay in Westchester when I can see the greatest theater in the world in New York City? And so I think ours is our audience that's sitting at home most nights because they don't have the energy to go into New York or the money to go into New York or there's nothing playing that they want to see in New York, is the audience that goes to see David Mamet off-Broadway and on-Broadway. It's his audience for Oleana and Speed the Plow, Glengarry Glen Ross. And we're saying we can do that stuff as well as it's done in New York with the same kind of actors, the same pool of New York actors, bring them up here to Westchester.
So that's an interesting point. The same kind of actors. You're an equity theater. You're not a community theater.
No.
Absolutely. Our auditions are held in New York. And in fact, we rehearse
You cast in New York?
We cast from among professional actors who live in the metropolitan area and who work mostly in New York, and basically just bring up the performances.
And what about the theater itself? I certainly get lost in a big theater, and if I'm not sitting in the first 10 rows, a line that I use, I saw this show under terrible circumstances. I was in the last row. Fortunately, there were only 10 rows. And that's the kind of theater I love, because there is absolutely no place in a small theater that is a bad seat.
That is a bad seat. You will love it at the Chappaqua Library
So
Theater.
tell us about it. It's in the Chappaqua Library.
We have 180 to 200 seats, depending on how we configure it. We've got about 12 or 13 rows, so there might be a couple rows that you wouldn't like. But the audience is raked. They have a beautiful bird's eye view of our set. It's intimate, and it's close up. And the artistic director of a company out in Rockland County once said to me that when you bring an audience that's used to Broadway into a little tiny theater and give them a good production, it just blows their minds away. They have no idea how much power they can feel from the actor when they're in the 5th row as opposed to the 25th row. And I think that's very true.
I've been in a lot of theaters that are known as black boxes. You know the term. It's just a room with seats, actually, and the sets are minimal.
No, this is a proscenium theater.
That's what I want to talk to you about.
Theater,
But I find that even in that kind of a theater, you're really part of it.
Yeah.
So that is a point that I did want to ask you about. This is a proscenium theater.
Yeah,
And you get both, basically. It's a proscenium theater, and we have New York designers who work on our shows, and we have full-fledged sets. And the spring was the first time that we actually did a musical, although a challenging musical. It did fit our bill. It was God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater. It was based on a Kurt Vonnegut novel, and it was a full-fledged set, sound, lights, and orchestra. But you also get the intimacy of just not being way out in the mezzanine.
That's my type of theater.
Yeah.
I love it. I like the spectacles. Some of the spectacles that I've seen more than once, and sometimes, believe it or not, sitting way up in the balcony. I like as much as sitting up close
Yeah.
because you get the whole perspective, and you don't have to see the faces because you're seeing stagecraft, I suppose, as opposed to
Right.
performance.
Well, spectacle we don't provide, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're finding our niche, in effect.
I've
we're
been
like-
disappointed in some of the spectacles because
Well, I think, unfortunately, that's become the standard bill of fare in New York. The theater critics and the community has sort of educated people to expect and want that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So one year it's a chandelier, the next year it's a helicopter.
Mhm.
I don't know what they're going to do next, but that's...
even taking something and doing it again, like Grease, you've got to do it differently so that
Yeah,
it has more
yeah.
spectacle than it was
Yeah.
in its basic
It
form.
was a very basic, simple show, the original production, which I was in on Broadway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it was very simple. That was part of its charm back then.
Yes.
But now audiences expect something a little more fancy, I think.
Let's get back to your current show.
Yeah.
Let's set it for us. It's actually in two parts. Is that how it works?
Well, the play is designed as two discussions by two characters. You meet a woman who talks to the audience. You're not quite sure who you are as an audience, who she's talking to, and you meet a man who's delivering a lecture. And as they tell the stories of their lives and the issues that are on their minds and the things that really bug them about life, you discover that they've met, only they don't realize it. And they've met in a very strange, sort of semi-violent incident in a supermarket.
And we probably shouldn't say too much more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I frequently say that there's something happening in this show which we don't want to tell you about.
Yeah, there's really sort of a wonderful tickler in it and a wonderful mystery. And what's very interesting is that these two people really have a lot in common, and what's interesting is that they don't really connect. Well, they do, but they don't really. But it's so hard.
Does this present an interesting problem? You're talking about a two-character show where they appear individually at times. How does that, as a director, how does that present a situation? Does it require a lot of directing? There doesn't seem to be a lot of staging or blocking.
Right, that's a very, very interesting question, because basically my challenge through the rehearsal process will be really to walk in every day and to be the newest and freshest audience member that I can muster up to be, because the ultimate relationship in this play, the most important relationship, will be between the actor who's standing solo on stage and the audience. And I think the best way that I will be able to help that and foster what is that going to be about is to walk in as the audience member. Stay tuned. I don't know if that will work.
Jim, that's an interesting point being made here, because not only are you the artistic director, but you're also playing the role of the man in this. You've been in a number of the performances in the shows that you've done. So you do have kind of a dual role here.
Yes.
And didn't Christopher Durang play that when it was off Broadway?
Well, the original production, and I think when it went to Los Angeles,
He did it?
he did the role, yeah.
Could you kind of give us kind of a view of what's going on? Maybe do part of your role in that for our audience?
Absolutely.
You have to set the stage at all for this, or just get into it?
All I have to tell you is that a man walks out on stage in front of a lectern and starts lecturing to an audience.
And if you're going to do it to the audience, why don't you do it right to the camera and
All
go
right.
ahead and do that?
All right. I used to be a very negative person. Then I took this personality workshop that totally turned my life around. Now when something bad or negative happens, I can see the positive. Now when I've had a really bad day, or when someone I thought was a really good friend betrays me, or when I've been hit by one of those damn people riding bicycles the opposite way down a one-way street, so of course you weren't looking in that direction, and there they are bearing down on you, about to kill or maim you. Anyway, I can look at any of these things and say to myself, this glass is not half full, it's half empty. No, sorry, said it backwards, force of habit. This glass is not half empty, it's half full. Of course, if they hit you with the stupid bicycle, your glass won't be half full or half empty. It'll be shattered in pieces and you'll be dead or in the hospital. But really, I'm trying to be positive. That's what I'm doing with my life these days. I was tired of not being happy and joyful. I was sick of my personality, and I had to change it. Half full, not half empty.
Mm-hmm.
I had to say to myself, you do not have cancer, at least not today. You're not blind. You're not one of the starving children of India or China or Africa. Look at the sunset. Look at the sunrise. Why don't you enjoy them, for God's sake? Now I do. Unless, of course, it's cloudy and you can't see the sun, or if it's cold, or if it's too hot. Probably need to take a few more personality workshops to really complete the process. It's not quite within my grasp, this being positive business. But I'm making great strides. My friends don't even recognize me. And it's difficult for me to be positive because I'm very sensitive to the vibrations of people around me. Or maybe I'm just paranoid. But in any case, I find it difficult. I used to find it difficult to go out of the house because of coming into contact with other people. You probably had a similar experience. You know, the tough on the subway who stares at you when you're the only two people in the subway car, and he just keeps staring. And after a while, you say to yourself, does this guy want to kill me or just intimidate me, which is just annoying enough. Or people in the movie theater who talk incessantly during the opening credits, and you just know they're going to talk throughout the entire film, and there is no way to stop them. And even if you do ask them very nicely to stop, and they ungraciously acquiesce, then they're going to send out vibrations that they hate you all during the entire film, and you'll be unable to concentrate. And if you move to another location, the person sitting next to you in the new location will probably, rattle candy wrappers endlessly. Basically, I don't go to the movies anymore. I mean, what is the point? But even if you can avoid going to the movies, you pretty much have to go to the supermarket. I was in the supermarket the other day, about to buy some tuna fish, and I sensed the very disturbed presence of this woman right behind me. There was something about her focus that made it very clear this was a disturbed person. So I thought, well, you should never look at a crazy person directly. So I thought, I'll just keep staring at these cans of tuna fish, pretending to be engrossed in whether they're in oil or in water, and that way she'll just go away. But instead, wham, she brings her fist down on my head and says, would you move? Now, why did she do that? I mean, she hadn't even said at some initial point, would you please move, so I would know what her problem was. Admittedly, I don't always tell people what I want either, like the people who talk in the movie theater. I just give up and resent them. But on the other hand, I don't take my fist and go wham on their head. Now, analyzing it, looking at it positively, there's probably some reason. This woman probably had some really horrible life story that explains how she got to this moment in time, hitting me in the supermarket. And if her life since birth had been explained to me, I probably could have understood her actions and how she got there. But even with that knowledge, which I did not have at the time, it was my head she was hitting, and it just makes me so angry, it makes me want to never leave my house ever again. I am the predominant source of energy in my life. I let go of the pain from the past. I let go of the pain from the present. In the places in my body where pain formerly lived, now there is light and love and joy. That was an affirmation. Now, the theory of affirmations is that by saying something positive about yourself in the present tense, as if the positive thing were actually happening, you draw in positive energies. For example, who do you think would have the easier life? The person who goes around saying inside his head all the time, everybody hates me, they try to avoid me, my job stinks, my life is miserable, or the person who goes around saying, everybody likes me exactly as I am. Every time I turn around, people are offering me love and money. My life is effortless and joyful. Obviously, the second person would have the easier life. That is the opening of the man's monologue.
Opening his monologue, and there is, of course, a sense in there of that encounter with the woman from the first part. You just touched on that.
Yes, exactly.
A little hint, yes.
Is there much action in this? Of course,
At
here you're
some
static.
Point, yes.
So there is some moving
It becomes
around.
incredibly active.
The second act,
Yes.
they begin to invade each other's dreams.
She doesn't want you to talk
I
about
won't say
that.
anything more than that, except
But
that they begin
yes,
to
it
dream
gets-
about and invade each other's dreams.
It gets pretty active.
Doing a monologue is like doing a one-man or one-woman show, and some of them are so effective. There have been some tremendously successful ones.
Right.
that have played on and off Broadway, and some are playing right now, where there's an awful lot of movement.
Where you're acting out a whole story.
You're acting out the whole story and maybe playing many characters in it. Is that necessary in we talked about the staging, the blocking. Is it necessary to have movement? Could you, of course, here we're static because we're limited to a studio and we're limited to talking to the audience through one camera. But the question is, is movement important? Is it? I mean, you can just come out there and sit in a chair and talk and hold your audience.
I think the playwright tells us what is important ultimately.
How does he tell?
That's who we look to ultimately to tell us. And
you analyze the script,
right?
And every script is different.
Basically, the process of rehearsal basically tells us. It tells the actor what to do from within. It tells me from outside what more I need.
Through the dialogue or through stage directions?
Basically, it's really a combination. You always go back to the words. You always go back to the words of the playwright. But in combination of the playwright and as well as what the actor brings you into the rehearsal process, you see if you have 35 minutes to fill, what kind of arc do you need to create in order to be able to sustain?
What was that word? What kind of
arc? What sort of journey?
Arc.
What sort of journey you need to take the audience through in order to sustain the suspense of every moment, to remain fresh, to want to know what's going to happen next. And basically between the process of the actor and the words which are so crucial, you find what you need in order to be able to take the folks who are sitting out there in the dark through this journey to tell a story. It's just like storytelling. How do you tell a story?
You had made an earlier reference to tricking the audience into conveying something to them. I thought that was an interesting terminology. What do you mean by that when you say to trick the audience?
Well, a play is not reality. It's the illusion of reality. You are tricking the audience into experiencing an event as if it were really happening. And as an actor on stage, you have to trick yourself as well into believing that the wooden props and the painted stuff and the lines that the other person that you know very well are delivering are all part of an event that is not really taking place. So you trick yourself, and with the help of all the stagecraft elements, you basically trick the audience into experiencing the story as it's really happening in real time. And
you make it real for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that 99% of what being an actor is tricking yourself into really forgetting that you're on stage and doing something really real.
Some performers have said to me that they stay in character even when they're off stage. Other performers have said to me that they go off stage and they're dancing around, fooling around, in some cases playing cards if you're not on for a while.
Absolutely.
Well, you do whatever you have to do.
It will vary. It will vary.
Sure.
From actor to actor. I mean, for the most part, we have people who really do arrive an hour and a half before the curtain goes up. And, I mean, in my experience with Coyote Theater and when Jim is in the show, the stage manager can't even find Jim for about 15, 20 minutes before the curtain goes up. Jim disappeared somewhere. He's preparing.
But the stage manager usually knows where, and he stays away on purpose because he knows I don't want to be
there. You have to prepare yourself and
has
get
their own preparation style,
but
which
sometimes,
is very important.
Sometimes the best way to prepare is to go off and play cards. I mean, a play like this, where you have to somehow be in a wonderful frame of mind to be telling jokes to an audience, requires your energy to be really up, and you have to be in a sort of bubbly state of mind. You don't want to sit down and think dark, horrible thoughts. You want to maybe just kid around with the other actors backstage. That's a wonderful way to build up your energy and get yourself the kind of confidence you need to go on stage, is to tell a bunch of jokes off stage.
So the techniques are different.
Yeah, every play's different.
And everyone does it differently. It doesn't matter how you train.
As long as you get there, yeah.
As long as you get there, that's right. How about your backgrounds? What's your background before you came to Coyote? You've been there since the beginning?
Right. We started the theater company back in 1990, originally with a group of actors who had been working and studying together in the city at a place called the Terry Schreiber Studio. Prior to that, I'd been living in Manhattan since 1977, working as an actor, and taking class like everybody, and not very satisfied with the kind of work I was getting, and decided to, as they say, take the means of production into my own hands and put on the plays that we wanted to put on the plays that we wanted to put on, rather than wait around for someone else to tell us, oh, you can be in that play if you're real good.
How about your background?
I've been, I guess, with Jim now for the past 3 out of those 4 years or so, and basically I've been freelance directing in and around New York myself, working in off Broadway.
Are you an
theaters.
actor too? Have you?
No.
Is that
No.
unusual?
Is it unusual? I would say not. It's really pretty much an eclectic group. The group of directors who are out there working, whether they're successful or they're not. I've worked with in one capacity or another with Jerry Zaks and Pam Berlin, but Pam Berlin may not be a name that it's as recognizable as Jerry Zaks, but both successful directors. And they were both pre-med when they were undergraduates in college, and so was I. So I just decided at some point, gee, that must be a prerequisite to directing. If I'm in that company, that's great for me. But you're right, there are a lot of actors who at some point turn to directing or bounce back and forth.
We want to give our audience a telephone number that they can call for information about Coyote Theater playing in late October and the beginning of November. And what's the number that should be called?
The box office number is 914-238-6812.
And we'll put that up on the screen in the closing credits so people can get it in case they want to. The future looks bright. You've got a lot of things planned for the future.
If only we could do. Right now, we only do 2 plays a year.
Two
but
plays.
If we could do 5 or 6, we've got plays that we're dying to do.
Have you changed much over the years in the type of things you're doing? You're still a bunch of coyotes out there howling.
Yeah,
aren't
but
you?
maybe we're a little less fierce than we used to be, and we're paying a little bit more attention to the economic realities and things like that.
And you're not an expensive theater.
No,
The
we
costs
try
are
to keep
fairly
our
low.
expenses down so that we don't have to sell 6,000 tickets. We're just going to try to find those few hardy souls that want to see the kind of stuff.
Well, we hope that we can help sell the tickets by bringing
Great.
this to the attention of the audience. My guests today have been the driving forces for the Coyote Theater at the Chappaqua Theater. I urge you to give it a try. It's different than what you see normally, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I'm Norman Liss, and the name of the program is The Way to Go. Until next time, at this time, enjoy yourself.